It is week 2 of the college football season for the Arizona Wildcats, getting you set for the home opener against Northern Arizona. I'm David Kelly, joined as always by Glenn Howell, U of A football class of 1985. We are proud to be on our new home, News 4 Tucson KVOA. And Glenn, the game against the Lumberjacks every 2 years, I kind of categorize as really the preseason game. What you want to see in this game is you want to see very crisp, technically played well football in all phases. Offensively, defensively, not getting any guys hurt. I don't think the score necessarily really matters, but you do want to see touchdowns, you want to see the offense finish, and you want to see the defense make some big plays in this ball game.
Well, Dave, let's start with the offense, okay? We talk about the offense. I want to see sustainable drives. I want to be able to run the ball when we have to and run the ball anytime we want to, okay? That's what I really want to see. I want to see him be able to throw the ball into spots. I want Khalil to go through his checks, be able to read, make his reads and everything, and make good throws. And I want to see him have plenty of time, stay in the pocket, and use the pocket and throw the ball.
Can you tell Tucson is an Air Force town? We got the Jets coming over us here on this preview day. And really, and I always say this in this game, it doesn't necessarily always play out, but I'd like to see a lot of kids play. I think I'd like to see maybe Khalil in the first team offense play into the second half a little bit, and then maybe get a chance to see Red Rodriguez, and I'd like to maybe even see Grant Gunnell get in this ball game.
I like to see him play. I like to see some younger guys playing on the offensive line, because we need to get that experience in there, because if those guys, one of those guys go down, two of those guys go down, then we have to play them. That is a great thing for them to play against somebody that's live, and NAU is not that bad, I'm telling you.
well, let's talk about that real quick, because they've got a kid in Case Cookness who can throw the football. He came in here and threw for over 300 yards a couple of years ago as a sophomore. I think this is what this defense needs, this kind of game, a team that's going to come in here and throw the ball around the field after what we saw from this defense against the pass at Hawaii.
Well, if we're talking about the defense, let's do this. Let's go man-to-man, and let's really get after them. That's what we didn't do against Hawaii. I think we need to go man-to-man, put pressure on the quarterback, and let's have a little fun. Let's just test our guys. Let's see what we can do, and what our weaknesses are, and don't let them get off the line of scrimmage, because I tell you, this guy, Case, he's going to be looking for those guys in 1001, 1002, and the ball's released. So let's jam them at the line of scrimmage. Don't let them get off free releases, and let's play some defense.
Well, when you talk about defense, and Glenn, we mentioned this in our breakdown after the ball game against the Rainbows, the best players have to play up to their standard. Colin Schooler has to be an impact player. He made 9 tackles in that game, but there really weren't any impact plays from him. And Scotty Young Jr., if he's going to be the leader on the backside of that defense, one tackle does not do the job.
Yeah, and I think that what we're going to have to see is the testing of our players today. We need to, I like the score, dude. I'm talking about the score. I said I want the score to be less than 20.
Yeah.
That's what I like to see. I don't want 21. I don't want to see 22. Give them a touchdown, maybe something in the late, and then maybe a field goal. I want them less than 20. That's what I like to see. So let's really put some pressure on them. We don't have to do a lot of packages. Let's just beat them one-on-one. That's all we have to do on the edge. Let's beat them up front, do it, and let's have a good time.
Well, you mentioned, and the defensive linemen have got to win. And I think that when you look at it, Glenn, is it as simple as guys have to win, or do they need to do things schematically different up front with this defense? Because when you watch Jalen Harris in that first game, he was close a lot of times in that game, but close against Hawaii gets you beat really badly against Stanford and USC. You got to be able to win and get to the quarterback.
There's a factor on that when he's close, is because those guys are getting open faster. Okay, so we have to really jam them off the line of scrimmage. I think that was our biggest issue. I really didn't hear that in the presser. So I really think that we need to reevaluate that and say, hey, we can't give them that much time to throw. We just got to get there a little bit faster, and then we got to be able to take those guys off their routes. And it is one-on-one, man-on-man. If we're going against USC, going against UCLA, then it might be schematic. Now it's man on man.
Right.
Let's get after it.
All right, let's flip to the offense. And you mentioned earlier about wanting to see this team run the football. That's what we wanted to see at the beginning of the game. Kevin Sumlin said something interesting at the press conference this week about how the defense kind of dictated what happened early in that ball game because of the RPO. And it goes back to a lot of what we heard when Rich Rodriguez was here. When you have the numbers in the box, when you have the numbers, you run the ball. When they have the numbers, you throw the ball. My problem with that is that why are we not scripting run specifically early in the ball game to get our offense established? We let a team dictate to us how we were going to play offensively at the beginning of the game, and that, to me, that can't happen.
So if you have the scheme that's in there and it's telling you they have too many in the box, well, then let's change the play and then get them out of the box. And then when you change the play, you got to execute the play. And we didn't execute. So what they did is they just stayed in the box. And then they weren't executing. They were taking risk. So maybe we have to take a little bit of risk. And I'm not a head coach. I don't get paid $2-3 million a year. So I'm going to give you my opinion anyway. I think we needed to go right at them. Yeah. Let's go at them, man on man, pick up a guy, and then let JJ or Gary, well, not Gary because he didn't have a carry. Mm-hmm. Okay, so JJ beat that extra guy one-on-one. I would put my money on that.
And you mentioned Gary Brightwell not getting any touches. JJ 16, 15 on the ground and 1 pass reception. That came up as well. How many touches does JJ Taylor need? JJ Taylor is not going to be a 25 carry a game back. That's just not who he is. He's not Kadeem Carey. You're not going to force feed him on this offense for 30 carries a game. To me, maybe that number is maybe 18 to 22 carries is about where you want to be. Kevin said he believes this is an offense where the running backs can get half the touches. Well, if that's the case, then we come out throwing the football. I don't understand that. What is that realistic that the running backs in this offense can get half the touches? Say there's 70 plays that they're going to touch the ball 35 times?
Well, if they're 35 times, if they're getting the ball 35 times, I'm looking at screens.
Right.
I'm looking at, one-on-ones with linebackers. I like to see the screen game going a little bit. I think our offensive line.
And they did a good job with that in that game.
And our offensive line, I think, is good enough to be athletic enough to be out in space. So we can do that. But we have to be able to dictate what we want to do in these games here. The Hawaii game, I thought we should have done it. And NAU, we definitely have to be able to dictate what we want to do, not anybody dictating to us.
And one of the bright spots that I really thought coming out of that game offensively was the emergence late of Tavion Cunningham, the junior college transfer wide receiver that came in here. Glenn, he's the fastest guy on the team. How can you utilize, obviously he's a guy that's still learning that position. Kevin said he hasn't played a lot of football, but how can you utilize his speed to make him an effective presence on this offense?
Get him on the outside, get him situated on a one-on-one situations, get him with linebackers, and then you know what? Let's just run him deep. Let's see if he can catch the deep ball. And that if we can have a deep threat, and then we have people coming underneath. We have all these guys that are doing really well. I think on the inside, I think Jamari's going to be a fantastic receiver. I think he just got to keep developing. That's what I have to say to these young kids: is keep developing. This is not a one game career. Right. It's keep developing, learning every day. And if he starts learning, that guy's going to be unbelievable.
Well, if we can get Cunningham on the outside, we know that Khalil Tate can throw him the football. The guy's got a cannon, and I think I'd also like to see he returned 6 kicks for touchdowns in junior college. I'd like to see him eventually take that role because I don't like J.J. Taylor in that role when your top running back has to also be the kick returner. So maybe as Tavion goes along and they get more confidence in him, he can begin to take over that kick return role as well. All right, it is Arizona and Northern Arizona, and we'll be back to break it down for you on Monday.